Today I'd like to introduce you to a particular prayer, which I think many of you might find especially useful to learn to pray at home during this difficult time of isolation due to coronavirus. It isn't a modern prayer. It comes to us in the West via the Eastern Orthodox tradition, and it probably originates with the Egyptian monastic desert fathers and mothers of the 5th century. The prayer is called the Jesus Prayer. And the reason I think it might be particularly helpful as a prayer for this time is because it is meditative and calming as a prayer. It's a prayer about drawing God into our lives and letting go of the things that get in the way of that. It's also one of the prayers at the heart of the Christian tradition of contemplative prayer, of which I could say quite a lot more, and perhaps will another time. The prayer itself is a single sentence which is prayed repeatedly, and this is why it lends itself to meditative practice. And many of you, if you do want to try it, will want to place yourself in a comfortable sitting or kneeling position before you begin. Whilst most of the contemplative tradition is about being still, there are forms of meditation which involve much more action. The whirling dervishes, for instance, from the Islamic Sufi tradition, which I had the privilege of seeing meditate when I was in Istanbul earlier this year, springs to mind. And I do know of at least one Anglican priest who prays the Jesus Prayer using the rhythm of his bike tyres whizzing round as he whizzes around Cambridge. So whilst I will be talking about this prayer in terms of stilling ourselves, it can also lend itself to accompanying any repetitive task or exercise. And so to the prayer itself, one simple sentence, simple yet profound. In its most common form, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. The root of this prayer comes from the combination of 3 Bible passages. The Christological hymn from the Pauline epistle, Philippians chapter 2, verses 6 to 11, where in verse 11 it proclaims, Jesus Christ is Lord. The Annunciation from Luke's Gospel, chapter 1, verse 26 to 38, where in verse 35 Jesus is recognised and proclaimed as the Son of God. And finally, the parable of the Pharisee and the tax collector from Luke chapter 18, verses 9 to 14, where in verse 13 the tax collector recognises the correct way to pray. God, be merciful to me, a sinner. Before talking further about the Jesus Prayer, I think it important to draw our attention to a difference between Western and Eastern traditions around the idea of sin. In the Western Church, we have often talked about sin in legalistic terms, talking about punishment deserved by the sinner. In the Eastern Church, though, sin is much more often thought of in terms of sickness, something which we need God's healing presence in our lives to correct. Because of that, there is another Bible story which I think resonates strongly with the idea and intention behind the Jesus Prayer, And that's the story of blind Bartimaeus from Mark's Gospel, chapter 10, verses 46 to 52. And I'm going to read it for you now. They came to Jericho. As Jesus and his disciples and a large crowd were leaving Jericho, Bartimaeus, son of Timaeus, a blind beggar, was sitting by the roadside. When he had heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to shout out and say, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." Many sternly ordered him to be quiet, but he cried even more loudly, "Son of David, have mercy on me." Jesus stood still and said, "Call him here." And they called the blind man, saying to him, "Take heart, get up, he is calling you." So throwing off his cloak, he sprang up and came to Jesus. Then Jesus said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" The blind man said to him, "My teacher, let me see again." Jesus said to him, "Go, your faith has made you well." Immediately he regained his sight and followed him on the way. With that story of Jesus' healing power in mind, let's turn in greater depth now to the Jesus prayer. The prayer can be said in many forms, and the right one for you will depend on exactly how you use the prayer, as well as how deeply you normally breathe, as you'll see. As a reminder, in its most common form, Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me, a sinner. I often personally use the longer version. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of the living God, have mercy on me, a sinner. But it can also be shortened. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of God, have mercy on me. Lord Jesus Christ, have mercy on me. Lord Jesus, have mercy on me. Lord Jesus, Jesus. You can pray this prayer for someone else in an intercessory sort of way, but principally and normally it is a prayer about your personal relationship with God through Jesus. And the prayer has two parts. Lord Jesus Christ, Son of the living God, and have mercy on me, a sinner. As you say the first part of the prayer, you should breathe in deeply. You are breathing in the living God, who is goodness and life and love. And you are praying that God will be drawn into every aspect of your life. As you say the second part of the prayer, you should breathe out completely. You are breathing out all the burdens weighing upon you at this present time. All your frustrations, fears and concerns. All the times you feel that you've failed to live as God has asked of you. You are breathing them out, dispelling them from your life. Then you take a new breath and begin the prayer again. And again you are drawing the living God into your life. You simply cycle through the prayer again and again. That's why I said you might want to make yourself comfortable before you begin. You can pray the words aloud or in your head as you breathe in and out. Either way, over time the prayer will move from your lips into your mind until it settles into your heart. And to get the most out of this prayer and to truly take it to heart, you do need to devote significant time to it. If you're attaching the prayer to a repetitive task, use it each time that you do the task. If you're making space and time to sit and pray, perhaps start with a shorter period of time, saying the prayer, say 10 minutes, before building up to longer periods of time. And I suggest either setting a timer, perhaps with a nice finishing noise rather than a clarion, or klaxon rather, or using something like prayer beads to count the number of times you're going to say the prayer to help you keep track. Try the prayer several times a week for a few weeks. It isn't a prayer which works for everyone, and if it doesn't do anything for you at this time in your life, don't worry and don't feel despondent or irritated about it. Just set it aside. But if it is a prayer which speaks to you and you commit time to it, you will find it helps deepen your relationship with the living God. So I hope you found this introduction useful, and I hope you enjoy exploring whether the Jesus prayer is a prayer which helps you connect heart and soul with God. I'm going to leave you with a chant from the Taizé community, which uses the words from the first part of the Jesus prayer, O Christe Domine Jesu.